Greetings today. We continue our study of the compound name of God, number 2 of 7, Jehovah Rapha. And we're, in conclusion, considering the point which says, Jehovah Rapha heals our bitter circumstances of life. The bitter circumstances of life accomplish two things. One, they show us our true selves, and they show us the provision of God, which these two things we dealt with in the first message on Jehovah Jireh. Let me emphasize again that it was God's will for this bitterness to come because they were led by the cloud to Marah. We also consider that in the book of Ruth, Naomi, whose name means pleasant, after she left Bethlehem, the house of bread, because of a famine, and went to Moab, which means cursed of God. And while she was there, her husband and 2 sons died. When she returned, she said not to call her Naomi or pleasant anymore, but call her Mara or bitter. In Ruth 1:20, she says, "For the Lord, the Almighty, hath dealt very bitterly with me." Could we say this bitterness was self-induced as a result of disobedience? And by disobedience, I mean the result of a lack of faith. I wonder how often is the same true in our lives. When we knowingly disobey, we're asking for bitterness to come. Galatians 6:8 was written to Christians, not lost people, when it says, "For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting." But not all bitterness is self-induced. Some bitterness is induced by others. Too often when bitterness comes, we take it out on others, when we should be praying for sufficient grace and accept it as God's will for our good. Bitterness. We all have experience that could make us potentially bitter. Someone has said that our experience will either make us bitter or they will make us better. Thus the warning from the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 15, looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. It is better if we obtain grace. If we fail to receive and use God's grace, a root of bitterness springs up in us, and if left alone, will trouble and defile us. But God has a wonderful solution to bitterness. God says, take this and make it sweet. You see, God has a tree for us, which can make any bitter water sweet. And that tree is the cross of Calvary. Listen to the words of the song, "The Cross is Not Greater Than His Grace" by Bollington Booth. The cross that he gave may be heavy, but it never outweighs his grace. The storm that I fear may surround me, but it ne'er excludes his face. The thorns in my path are not sharper than composed his crown for me. The cup that I drink not more bitter than he drank in Gethsemane. The light of his love shineth brighter as it falls on paths of woe. The toil of my work groweth lighter as I stoop to lift the low. His will I have joy in fulfilling as I'm walking in his sight. My all to the blood I'm bringing. It alone can keep me right. The cross is not greater than his grace. The storm cannot hide his blessed face. I'm satisfied to know that with Jesus here below, I will conquer, I will conquer, I will conquer every foe. The world has an adage that says, when life gives you lemon, make lemonade. And I submit to you that when life gives you bitterness, go to Calvary and make it sweet. Christ drank the bitter cup for us. He is our example. We should be willing to drink the bitter cup for God's honor and glory. He can make even the bitter experiences turn into sweetness for us. When we come to a bitter experience in life, trust God. God can heal our sinful hearts. God can heal our physical bodies. God can heal our broken hearts. And God can heal our bitter circumstances of life. So the only question is, will we and are we allowing God to do these things for us as our Jehovah Rapha?